You have a quorum present.
Thank you.
Here.
Yep, we got you.
We got you.
Next item, please.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United
Everyone,
States of
please
America.
stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, thank you. Next item, please.
Invocation.
Okay, today we will have our invocator introduced by Commissioner Kniezek.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning to everyone. Good morning. You all need to work on that. I am so excited today to have Reverend Lewis W. Carlson here with us today. He is from Good Hope Lutheran Church in Garden City. He has served there since January of 2023. Before coming to Good Hope Lutheran Church, he was the directing pastor at St. Paul's Lutheran Church in Temperance, Michigan, since August 2011. Originally from East Grand Rapids, Reverend Carlson has been a local pastor in various pastoral settings since 1989. Prior to his ministry work, he was employed as a marketing manager for the promotional graphics division at UARCO Corporation. In 1992, he became an ordained elder with the Central Illinois Conference of the United Methodist Church. Reverend Carlson is a graduate of the Garrett Evangelical Theological Seminary, Northwestern University, class of 1990. Throughout his career, he has served churches in Illinois, Ohio, and Michigan. Reverend Carlson earned his Bachelor of Business Administration degree from Grand Valley State Colleges in 1983, with a major in marketing and a minor emphasis in public administration. Reverend Carlson has a unique connection with African culture and pastoral ministry. In 1991, he participated in an exchange mission trip, being the first pastor to swap pulpits with Reverend Gift C. Mashinga from Mutare, Zimbabwe. Since then, he has visited Malawi 7 more times and has hosted Malawian pastors in his home on 3 different occasions. He shares a special friendship with Bishop Smart Y. Mashinku, with whom he's known since his initial visit to Malawi in 1991. One of Reverend Carlson's passions is helping people understand how they can contribute to transforming lives by providing freshwater wells in remote parts of sub-Saharan Africa. He has actively contributed to the Toledo Rotary Club and has also participated as a polio speaker, raising funds to eliminate the polio virus worldwide. Reverend Carlson and his wife Patty have been married since 2001, and they are thrilled about the opportunity to serve the Good Hope Lutheran Church community, particularly here in Wayne County. He follows in the footsteps of his longtime friend, Pastor Dean Beckwith, who has been a mentor and friend to him. He is always open to meeting with individuals who are experiencing grief or those who wish to deepen their relationship with God. Please join me in welcoming Pastor Lewis W. Carlson to the Wayne County Commission. Pastor.
David, you did not tell me that there's enough of a crowd to make a pastor want to take an offering. This is pretty good. We'll not do that today, but thank you for your service, commissioners. Thank you for the ability to let people like me come and bring to you the good news of our county and the difference you are making and reminding you of this important job. The Lord be with you. Loving and gracious God, as we gather here today to commence this December meeting of the Wayne County Commission, we come to you with humble hearts. We are ever thankful and we are grateful that people come to serve and care for the least of our people, as well as everyone in this county. We lift up our voice in prayer, expressing our gratitude for their dedication and their selfless service. We thank you, Lord, for the men and women who have stepped forward to embrace this responsibility. They have chosen a path that demands wisdom, discernment, and compassion. We acknowledge their tireless efforts in guiding us towards growth, unity, as well as prosperity. In this moment, we recognize this morning the importance of their commitment as stewards of this county and the resources that they use to make a difference within the lives of so many. Their decision shapes the lives of all citizens and have an impact that extends beyond this county borders. We are grateful, oh God, for their dedication, for their hours of understanding the needs of the people before they make decisions, and the ways in which they listen to people so carefully. We pray for your guidance upon them. May it flow to them and give them justice and integrity with their decisions. Grant them the strength to navigate the challenges that they face, always with the welfare of the county and our nation in their hearts. May their leadership inspire among us unity, a sense of respect towards one another, and collaboration with all peoples who may be similar or different from ourselves. We ask that you bless their endeavors, grant them wisdom, O God, and let them listen to one another carefully and model what it means to be servant leaders. As we commence this meeting, we seek your presence to be felt among us here. Grant all of us your protection, and may your light shine upon the discussions and the important decisions they come to this morning. Help them to consider different perspectives and to work towards consensus always. We offer this prayer in deep gratitude for our leaders and the impact they have on our county and nation. May your blessings empower them to lead selflessly and wisely with unwavering dedication. In your holy name, O God, we pray, and all God's children said, amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor, for that prayer. Thank you for being with us today, and we wish you holiday greetings and holiday. Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Reading, correcting, and approval of the journal.
Vice Chair Palomero.
Move approval. Support.
Moved and supported. Any corrections to the reading of the journal? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Report from the chair.
Nothing today. Next item.
We're moving to page 2 of the agenda, unfinished business. There is one item listed, in ordinance to amend chapter 120 of the Wayne County Code of Ordinances, the procurement ordinance, to amend section 12033 to require the disclosure of business relationships for sole source procurements, section 12046 to eliminate the requirement for the payment of interest on outstanding balances, section 12050 to eliminate the exemption for grant funded agreements from retroactivity, section 12225 to lower the dollar threshold for contracts required to disclose business relationships, and sections 120, 101, 193, 225, 226, and 227 to increase the time period for debarment from county procurements.
Okay, the first reading was on November 2nd. We had a second reading on November 16th. Before we open up the hearing for today, are there any additions you'd like or comments you'd like to add, council, to these procurement ordinance amendments?
Through the chair to this honorable body, I do not, but I believe that the administration has one comment.
Good morning. Good morning, Sue Hamoud, Deputy Corporation Counsel. I just want to clarify for this honorable body that the changes to the debarment time that is currently contemplated will not be applicable to the current debarment proceedings that are happening.
Is that because they've already began?
That is because they were procured under a different timetable in the debarment proceedings, so they cannot be exposed to a different timetable.
Okay, thank you for your comments. At this time, I'll take a motion to open up a public hearing. Is there a motion to open a public hearing? It's been moved by Commissioner Dobbs, supported by Commissioner Barecki. All in favor of opening up a public hearing, please vote.
Motion carries.
Okay, is there anyone in the public who would like to speak to these amendments to the procurement ordinance? Anyone on Zoom? Anyone in the chambers? Did we receive any emails?
Received.
Again, anyone on Zoom or in the chambers who would like to speak to the amendments to the procurement ordinance? Okay, hearing none, a motion to close public hearing? Moved by Vice Chair Pro Tem, supported by Commissioner Dodd to close the public hearing. Please vote.
Motion carries.
Okay, now we need a motion to approve the amendments. 1 second, please. Moving faster than technology today. Okay, a motion to approve the amendments to the procurement ordinance, moved by Vice Chair Pro Tem Baydoun, supported by Commissioner Kinlock. Any discussion on the amendments to the procurement ordinance by commissioners? Any discussion by commissioners on the amendments to the procurement ordinance? Okay. Commissioner Basham.
Yes, I had some concerns. We changed the procurement ordinance under COVID, and I think we need to go back to what it was. So I'll probably be a no vote on this. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, any additional comments on the changes before us amending the procurement ordinance? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you so much. Next item, please.
We're on offering of all petitions, ordinances, resolutions, and presentations. There is one resolution listed, a resolution by Commissioner Bell proclaiming December 3rd, 2023 as International Day of Persons with Disabilities and standing for the equal human rights of people with disabilities.
Okay, thank you. As stated, December 3rd is a day to acknowledge Disabled Persons Day. The International Day of Disabled Persons is owned by people, organizations, agencies, and places learning to them on a vital role and play in identifying the accomplishments of persons with disabilities have in our society. As many times I've often said that a lot of the resolutions that we get come from constituents and concerned citizens in Wayne County. And I'm happy to have Mr. Connor McNeely. Is he here today? If you could come to the microphone, Mr. McNeely. Mr. McNeely brought this resolution to me and I thought it was appropriate as we recognize International Day of Disabled Persons. Mr. McNeely, you have a comment you'd like to make, sir?
I do. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Connor McNeely, and I am the copywriting and creative assistant at Detroit Disability Power. Detroit Disability Power is a nonprofit disability justice organization committed to the advocacy and policy change for persons with disabilities, primarily among housing and voting rights. Our goal is to create programs for our members to engage in the community and let their voices be heard in rooms where decisions are made that affect their everyday lives. The International Day of Persons with Disabilities is an opportunity to promote full inclusion of persons with disabilities in our community, especially to those who are not affected directly by disability. The Wayne County Commission adopting this day as an important date on the calendar is a major step toward the inclusiveness of people with disabilities in our community and society as a whole. We at Detroit Disability Power greatly appreciate the support of Wayne County in advancing our mission, and for that, we thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McNeely, for coming down today and to bringing this important day to our attention. Again, citizens of Wayne County, we thank you for your involvement in civic duty and making sure that we acknowledge important duty days like this. Understand the importance that disabled people make to our society. With that being said, I do have a motion by Commissioner Clark Coleman and supported by Vice Chair Baydoun. Any discussion from commissioners? Any discussions? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you so much. And again, thank you, Mr. McNeely, for coming down and sharing with us this all-important day. Thank you. Next item, Madam Clerk.
We're moving to reports from committees. Report A is from the Committee on Ways and Means. There are 5 items listed on pages 2 and 3 of the agenda.
And as a reminder, we operate in committee and thorough discussion is had during the committee process where all of the items are thoroughly vetted and discussed, and then they're brought here to the full board for final disposition. Commissioner Kinlock, Committee on Ways and Means.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the entire report, items 1 through 5.
It's been moved by Commissioner Kinlock, supported by Commissioner Marecki. Any discussion on the items in the Ways and Means report? Any discussion? Hearing none. Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item.
We're moving to report B from the Committee on Economic Development. There are 2 items listed on pages 3 and 4 of the agenda.
Commissioner Hatos.
Thank you, Madam the Chair. I move to approve the 4 report, item 1, 2, and 3 for approval.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Hatos, supported by Commissioner Vice Chair Pro Tem Baydoun. Discussion, Commissioner Kenizik.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll defer to another commissioner if they've asked Commissioner Hattis first, but if nobody has, I was wondering if he might allow me to be the maker of the motion on item number 1, given its impact in the city of Inkster.
Fine, okay. Okay. Thank you. Any further discussion on the economic development report? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carries and have Commissioner Kenizik as the maker of the motion on item number 1.
Thank you so much. Next item, please.
We're moving to report C from the Committee on Public Services. There are 12 items listed on pages 4 through 6 of the agenda.
Commissioner Marecki.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move to receive and file items 1 through 5, and approval of items 6 through 12.
Okay. Moved by Commissioner Marecki, supported by Vice Chair Pro Tem Baydoun. Any discussion on the public services report? Commissioner Kenizik.
So sorry to be verbose today, Madam Chair. Item number 9, and normally I would ask prior to the meeting because I don't like to blindside folks in it, but I don't think this is a controversial thing or it's just a question. I was wondering if somebody could talk a little bit about item number 9 and the Hawthorne pedestrian bridge over the middle branch of the Rouge River. It's in Westland, but it significantly impedes traffic coming in and out of Garden City, and it's something I've heard of recently. So just any sort of an update about that Middle Belt Merriman stretch. We've heard some rumblings about Middle Belt and timeline there, and obviously with 2 of those major thoroughfares a mile apart. And if you want to just say we'll talk about it afterwards, we can talk about it afterwards too. It's up to you, whatever you want to do.
Through the chair, Commissioner Kenizik, this item is regarding the Hawthorne Bridge that is directly across Nankin Mills Interpretive Center, which is a mixed-use pedestrian bridge that allows access to trail system that's been closed off for over 2 years. So this is the contract for the restoration replacement of that bridge. To your question about Merriman Bridge, which is a project under the engineering division, I'm not sure if my colleague, Mr. Caldy, is here or Mr. Cole, but I will take your question back. What I do know that that traffic imposition will be into early part of the spring, what I understand from the schedule, how it impacts our traffic plan into Light Fest. But I'm sure someone, or I will take your question back to Director Caldy and he can respond to you regarding that timeline.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any additional questions on the public services report? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carries.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you. Next item?
We're on Report D from the Committee on Health and Human Services. There are 7 items listed on pages 7 through 9 of the agenda.
Commissioner Baker McCormick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval for items 1, 2, 6, and 7, and to receive and file 3, 4, and 5.
Moved by Commissioner Baker McCormick, supported by Commissioner Jesus. Any discussion on the Health and Human Services report? Discussion on the report? Commissioner Kenizik?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I
You're
want to abstain
fine.
on item 2, please.
Okay, item 2. Duly noted. Any further discussion on the report? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carries, and I have Commissioner Kenizik as an abstention on item number 2.
Thank you. Next item, please.
We are on Report E from the Committee on Audit. There is 1 item listed.
Commissioner Basham?
I'd like to move one audit to, one item to receive and file this time. Thank you.
Okay, it's been
For
moved.
approval, I'm sorry, for approval.
Hey, thank
Thank you.
you. Moved by Commissioner Basham, supported by Commissioner Colleen. The approval of the 1 item on the audit report. Any discussion on this item? Any discussion on the 1 item audit report item? Hearing none, please vote.
Carries.
Next item, please.
On Report F from the Committee on Public Safety, Judiciary, and Homeland Security, there are 3 items listed on pages 9 and 10 of the agenda.
Thank you. Commissioner Clark Coleman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move items 1 through 3 for approval.
Items 1, 2, and 3 under the Public Safety Report, moved by Commissioner Clark Coleman, supported by Commissioner Scott. Question, Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Madam Chair, item number 1, Shot Spotter. Is there an update on how this program is working, on this technology rather?
There's someone who can speak to item number 1.
Morning, through the chair, Tony Guerrero, Chief of Legislation, Grants, and Community Relations for the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. May I have the question again, please?
Can you just give an update on how the technology is working?
I can tell you that the Detroit Police Department is extremely happy with ShotSpotter. This grant gives no change in the dollar amount. It's merely extending the time period. These are cases where the Detroit Police Department real-time crime center and ShotSpotter technology, forgive me. This is funded by the U.S. Department of Justice, and it is no change in the dollar amount, $474,991. The term would go from January 1 of 2022 through September 30th of 2024. I do not have the statistics readily available at hand. However, I will get the exact numbers and have that to you by email. I can tell you that we have had Operation Legend, which was Operation Relentless Pursuit. It has, in fact, made a great difference. There was media coverage that the number of homicides in the city of Detroit have gone down. This grant is one of the reasons. We also, if I may digress through the chair, we also have one that's coming before you, an additional grant strictly for gun violence. And I hope to have that grant for you at the meeting on the 19th of December. I can't promise, but I will make every effort, and I guarantee you that I'll get the statistics on this particular one and email you. You're quite welcome.
Thank you.
You want me to stay for 2 and 3 in case there are any questions, Madam Chair?
You sure? Commissioner Kniezek?
Don't have any questions. My colleague asked if there's any information about the efficacy of this or how it's working. The reality is it's not. This is a massive waste of taxpayer money. I think I was one of the few, if not only person to vote against it when it came up the first time. I also venture to say I'm the only person that's ever actually used it before because this was a program that we used when I was serving in the Marines in Iraq. And so I don't have to tell you to go just do a little Googling on ShotSpotter and its efficacy and how it's working in the city of Detroit or Wayne County or not. But I'll be a no. I love you, Tony. You know I do. But the short answer is this is just a massive waste of taxpayer money. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the public safety report? Further discussion on the items for public safety? Thank you, Tony. Hearing no further discussion, please vote.
Madam Chair, I'd like to be a no on item number 1.
And I didn't say it explicitly, but just in case, I'm also a no on item 1.
The motion carries, and I have Commissioner Kniezek and Commissioner Daub as a no on item number 1.
Thank you. Next item, please.
We're on report G from the Committee on Government Operations. There are 12 items listed on pages 11 through 14 of the agenda.
Commissioner Daub.
To move items 1 through 4 for receive and file, and move for approval items 5 through 12.
12 items on the government operations report, moved by Commissioner Dobbs, supported by Commissioner Killeen. Any discussion on the 12 items on the government operations report? Commissioner Basham.
I'll be a no on item 11. Thank you.
Okay, duly noted. Any additional discussion on government operations? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carries, and I have Commissioner Basham as a no on item number 11.
Councilman. Yeah, I'm still listening.
Our friends on Zoom. All right, next item, please.
Upcoming meetings.
All right, everyone, please note the upcoming meetings. If there are any changes, please let the clerk know. There is a cow that is not on here. Not on here, but I'm scheduling a cow for December 14th at 12:30. December 14th at 12:30, there'll be a cow. Agenda will be forthcoming.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
there is a Wayne County Women's Commission on December 14th at 12 o'clock.
At 12 o'clock? Let me see. There's a event.
I can attend
Okay,
that meeting for a half hour and
Yeah.
then come to council.
let's do that. 'Cause I don't want to go too far into the afternoon. So 12:30 on the 14th. All right, thank you. Next item?
Chair,
Yes.
I just wanted to say, for those not familiar with the lingo, a cow meeting means.
Committee of the whole.
Committee of the whole, not meeting on cows. Thank you.
Thank you. Not meeting about cows, where COW stands for Committee of the Whole. Thank you for that clarification. In government, we have a lot of acronyms that people aren't always aware of, so thank you. Committee of the Whole, December 14th, 12:30 on the 7th floor. Any further discussion about Committee of the Whole? All right, thank you. Next item.
We're moving to new business. There's one item listed requesting commission approval of the appointment of DeLorean Holmes to the position of Director of the Economic Vitality Division.
All right. Director Sheikh.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Hassan Sheikh, Director of Economic Development. We are requesting the Commission for immediate consideration for approval of the appointment of DeLorean Holmes to the position of Director of Economic Vitality, a division within the Economic Development Department. Mr. Holmes is an exceptional civil servant with years of experience in economic development in the Southeast Michigan region. He served in planning for the City of Detroit, has led economic development for our partners at the Wayne County Port Authority, and is now, through his position in the City of Detroit's Housing and Revitalization Department, spearheading more than $150 million in investments over a large swath of Detroit, right? Mr. Holmes' broad experience and skill set will allow him to see opportunities for collaboration across the divisions within Wayne County's Economic Development Department. He has significant experience in business attraction, housing development, as well as business retention, and community development and HUD programming, housing development as well. He also comes into the position with significant staff management experience and ready to lead a rebuilding division immediately. We are confident that Mr. Holmes will bring immense value to the Economic Development Department and forward our goals of the county. He has well-established relationships with many local stakeholders and is driven to bring good businesses and jobs to the people of Wayne County, and has a track record of operating with the highest integrity. Mr. Holmes holds a master's degree in public policy from Walden University in Minneapolis and a bachelor's of science in urban planning and studies from Wayne State University. He is also an active member of the United States Army Reserve. Mr. Holmes' annual salary will be $123,000. He will also receive paid parking and other benefits in accordance to the executive benefit plan for executive branch employees. Mr. Holmes' appointment will be effective upon commission approval. We are excited at the opportunity to bring a talent of this type into our department. One thing that I have said ad nauseum to this body is that as we are building this economic development department into the future, part of it is building the culture. And part of building culture is being able to not only retain talent, but attract the top talent. And DeLorean Holmes is a perfect example of just that. And with that, I will pass it over to Mr. Holmes to say a few words.
And before you leave, sir,
Yes.
could you, for the record, just discuss the goals of the Economic Vitality Division, what that division entails and what you hope to get out of that division?
Absolutely. So when economic vitality, formerly it was known as the Economic Development Division within the Economic Development Department. As we reorganized and came in front of you guys, the commission approved for us to change the name to Economic Vitality. What does vitality mean? Vitality is a 180 approach towards economic development in the sense that it's looking at the sustainability, it's looking at the long goals and the long-term viability of economic development. Within this division, you have brownfield, business attraction, retention. This is also the division that's in charge of ARPA, SLURF, and revenue replacement. This is also the department that overall meets with our stakeholders. The vision for economic vitality is essentially in line with the values and the vision of Mr. Evans to move economic development into the future where all of our residents, business communities can benefit, as well as we can drive good investment and development across all 43 communities, as well as making sure that all economic development is equitable. And that is going to be key for us.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. I'm very excited to have this opportunity presented for me to actually be able to do some things I'm very passionate about, such as community development, economic development, job growth, and job retention. I'm very excited to, hit the ground running and to get to support the residents and citizens of Wayne County.
Any questions to Mr. Holmes? Commissioner Kniezek.
I've got one regret about this appointment, and that's that Commissioner Kinloch and Haddis beat me to making the motion in the second. DeLorean and I go back to the Michigan Senate, and when he was serving on staff there, top shelf dude and a great guy. And I know it's going to bring a lot of really good outside of the box thinking to this position. So kudos to you, Director Sheikh, and the administration, and best of luck to you, Mr. Holmes. I know you're going to do great.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Dobb?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I see from your resume, you have a lot of experience within the city of Detroit. Do you have any experience or knowledge of what we call out county, the non part of the city? And, what do you plan on doing to expand your knowledge and experience of out county?
Through the chair, Madam Commissioner, I have experience in out county through the role as Deputy Director at the Detroit Wayne County Port Authority, where we worked in a majority of the downriver communities, especially the ones off the Detroit River and the Rouge River, to help with economic development, such as the Nicholson Terminal and E-Course in River Rouge.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Holmes? Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Kenlock and supported by Commissioner Hados. One last time for discussion. Hearing none, please vote.
Carries.
Congratulations, sir. We look forward to working with you. All
Thank you all.
right, thank you. All right, next item, please.
On testimonial resolutions and certificates of appreciation, there are 11 items listed.
There a motion for testimony resolutions?
So moved.
As we get to the board, there we go. Moved by Vice Chair Pro Tem Baydoun, supported by Commissioner Hados. Commissioner Kniezek.
How many times am I going to talk today? Not because I don't necessarily disagree with it, just haven't had a chance to review it. I'm going to ask to abstain on 7, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'll just
Noted.
say a few remarks about item number 3. A wonderful event with these 4 young people who are freshmen at various colleges. They live in the Grandmont community. Myself, Commissioner Baker McCormick, as well as other dignitaries were able to congratulate them and give them certificates. And they received, I think it was $2,000 scholarships each from the Grandmont community to further their education. A lot of times with our young people, we can get into college, but it's a hard time, especially financially staying in college. So the community was so gracious to raise money and award these 4 young people scholarships to help them stay in college. So I just wanted to acknowledge that's item number 3. Commissioner Clemente?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to add a couple things. We have a Christmas display in Lincoln Park that has been going on for 60 years, and it is amazing. There's a lot of community work that is done with this, and it's very inexpensive. It's only $2. So if you ever get a chance to bring some people over, that would be great, and come visit Lincoln Park. And the other thing I want to mention is Lincoln Park resident has opened up a city tour Detroit souvenir and gift shop right here in the Guardian building. So of course, it's the holiday season. We love to shop local and support our small businesses. So if you get a chance, go and see that gift shop. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Baker McCormick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to say a few words about item number 7. I recently met with the the Minister of Interior with Cuba, and really looked at how their health system works. And in addition, the number of medical doctors that they have more medical doctors than we do in this country. In addition, they have a scholarship program where students in the United States can receive a full ride medical degree from the university there. We just recently had a student that graduated with her medical degree in Cuba from Wayne County. She lives in Wayne County, or at least from Wayne County. So I think it's important for us to build relations and to understand how or best practices in other communities and other countries so that we together can improve. So I just wanted to give those comments about this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Basham.
I was going to echo what Commissioner Clementi said. Lincoln Park is part of Downriver, and we encourage you to visit Lincoln Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kinlock.
I'm a no on 7.
Commissioner Markey.
I no on 7 as well.
Any further discussion on testimony, resolutions, and certificates of appreciation? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carries. Have Commissioner Kenizik as an abstention on item number 7, and I have Commissioner Mareki and Commissioner Kenlock as a no on item number 7.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Palomero.
I'll abstain on item number 7, please.
All right, thank you. Next item, please.
We're on memoriams. There are 2 names listed.
Okay, first name is Mr. Sammy Armstrong. Just as a little background, Mr. Armstrong was a resident of Las Vegas. He was one of the first African-American millionaires in Las Vegas. He was awarded a truck transportation company contract with the state of Nevada to transport folks from Las Vegas to Area 51 and do a lot of transportation in the Las Vegas area. Why is this on the agenda? I worked for him when I lived briefly in Las Vegas, and he took a young lady from Detroit and employed me and was very generous in making sure that I was understood the Las Vegas culture, especially the African-American culture that was in Las Vegas. He was very highly regarded as his administrative assistant. I had an opportunity to work with him and meet Harry Reid, who was a senator at the time and good friends with him. Congresswoman Maxine Waters, who had just recently been elected congressperson back in '93. So Sam Armstrong was a real mover and shaker in the Las Vegas community. One of the only African Americans to own property on the Las Vegas Strip as well. So it was an honor to have worked with him and to know him. He passed away about a month ago at the age of 81. So I just wanted to make mention of all of the wonderful accomplishments that he has given to that Las Vegas community in the state of Nevada, and personally what he meant to me and my family. And I'm sure everyone has remarks about the great Reverend Charles Adams, who passed away last week, pastor of Hartford Memorial Church, just dynamic preacher, teacher, one of the last greatest here in Detroit as far as his leadership in the ministry throughout not only Detroit, Wayne County, but the entire country. So he will be deeply missed. Again, one of the greatest to ever do it here in Detroit. And we want to make sure that we send sympathies out to his family. The services will be next week, so I'm sure many of us will be attending. We do have a memoriam requested by Commissioner Irma Clark Coleman that all of our names are on that we'll present to the family on next week. So just want to make sure that we acknowledge the greatness of Reverend Charles Adams and keep his family in our prayers. Commissioner Kinlock.
Thank you.
For those who understand and familiar with the Black migration or inter-migration around the city of Detroit from Black Bottom into other areas of the city, the Old West Side is a very important part of that history. And there are two individuals who impacted my life as I grew up on Stanford, which is part of the Old West Side, who has passed over the past couple of weeks. And that is Dr. Earl Harvey and Reverend Charles Gilchrist Adams. I grew up in the Old West Side, an area that they used to call the church corridor because you had a lot of historical churches in that area. Grew up on Stanford between Milford and Moore. On Stanford, on one end near Cobb, you had the historic St. Stephen's Church. You also had on Beechwood, you had Tabernacle Baptist Church. And on Hartford, on the other side, directly around the corner was Hartford Memorial Baptist Church. During that time growing up, they invested both Hartford as well as the school community, specifically Dr. Harvey, who headed and founded an organization called Who Said I Can. Growing up in that area, oftentimes young people are shy. Young people, are still trying to find themselves in middle school because the program, I'm sorry, didn't mention, is a program that teaches leadership skills in middle school. And that's an organization where I first started speaking. I first had opportunity to address a large group of individuals. Dr. Harvey passed away, and it has touched a lot of people who grew up and experienced the programs that he offered. And so I give my condolences on behalf of the commission. I'll actually be drafting a resolution coming from the entire commission, recognizing Dr. Harvey and his contributions to young people's lives over the years. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you for that education piece about Dr. Harvey. Commissioner Clemente.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to add one name. Her name is Juanita Hernandez. She was very short in stature, but she was a very powerful leader. She became the first Hispanic woman to be employed by the city of Detroit, and she eventually rose to a position of house inspector. And she worked very hard in the community, and one organization that she helped a lot with was LaSed. And on Thanksgiving Day, she passed away peacefully with her family, but she served her community for 50 years. So I extend my condolences to her family, and I would like to add, please.
Thank you, Commissioner. Certainly. Any additional comments on memoriams? Okay, hearing none, please stand for a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you so much. At this time, I would like to take a 5-minute recess. 5-minute recess, please. Even though the words
We can.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, go talk to Colleen.
Thank you.
No, you look at me and you make me laugh. No, you look at me and you make me laugh. What's up, Eddie? It's Canfield. HHS. Canfield Equipment Service.
This is the final.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. Hey, what's happening?
What's happening? I miss you, man. I feel like I haven't talked to you in a
I
while.
know, it's been a minute, yeah.
Because of what you just said, because I don't know if you really, and we'll certainly take it up the next meeting, but just because of what you said about today.
There you go.
Commissioner Clark Coleman.
Oh, okay, so she's on the other side. So yeah.
Here, I am advocating for an oppressed people by a very, very strong oppression by a military group and people that we support highly. I didn't have a speech ready, sorry, so I'm just speaking out of my heart. So I'm requesting and I'm hoping that we do have a resolution put in place for a ceasefire to represent our people in the Wayne County community. Free Palestine. Thank you.
Janice Brock.
For the same reason, I'm hoping for a resolution for a ceasefire in Gaza. I'm a born and raised American citizen from Detroit, Michigan. And yeah, it's sad to see what's going on in Palestine and Gaza and that billions of our tax dollars are going to kill and murder innocent children and civilians in Palestine. It's racist and discriminating. America does not stand for racism and discrimination. So why are we supporting a racist and discriminating country, Israel? Apartheid is not in style anymore, okay? So please, pass a resolution to stop the war in Gaza. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please do.
Olivia. Chris Gilmer Hill.
Are you talking to me?
Are
Olivia
you Chris? State your name, please.
Olivia Cadu.
You can begin.
Hi, I'm speaking on the fact that the Wayne County Commissioners has removed the ceasefire resolution. And as a member of Wayne County, I live in the chair's district. I am demanding that you place the resolution back on the agenda immediately and vote your conscience, rather than taking it off and hiding behind parliamentary measures to hide your cowardness. That is all. Free Palestine.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Chris Gilmer Hill.
Good morning. Can I be heard?
Yep.
Hi, my name's Chris Gilmer Hill. I'm a lifelong resident of Detroit in the, I believe, 5th County Commission District, and Commissioner Emma Clark Coleman's district. I'm also here speaking to urge you to walk on and pass the ceasefire resolution. In urging you to do that, I'd like to call out that this is should no longer be a difficult ask. This is something that has been done in numerous cities, including Detroit, the largest city in Wayne County by far. And this is something that has received practically unanimous public support, both here before you at this commission meeting and at the numerous public comment sessions that were held on this subject in Detroit. I'd like to urge you to pass this, not only because it's the obvious right thing to do, and because the people of Wayne County deserve a commission that will not support a genocide being perpetrated in our name. I'm also urging you to do this because it's the clear democratic representation of what your citizens and your constituents want. There is no part of Wayne County that is opposed to a ceasefire, because there is no part of Wayne County that wants to see children in Gaza continuing to be murdered using our tax dollars. It's time for Wayne County to take a clear stand, to stand with the largest, blackest city in the state. It's time for us to do the right thing here. And lastly, I'd like to point out to you clearly, people are paying attention. I know people aren't usually paying attention to what happens in Wayne County Commission meetings. People are paying attention today, and people aren't going to just go away if this is taken off the agenda. If this isn't voted on today, people will keep coming back. This will not be something that can just be ignored, because we're not going away until Palestine is free. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
انا ركبتها
ركبتي ده؟ ازاي ركبتي؟ Sherry Smith.
Can you all control the volume, Wayne and Joe? Let's mute everyone for a moment. Mute everyone for a moment. If you'd like to make a comment and you're on Zoom, make sure you unmute yourself and make your comments once we take you off of mute. Okay, go ahead. Next speaker.
Sherry Smith.
May I be heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, first I just wanted to say, man, this commission is efficient. This is my first time attending a Wayne County Commissioners meeting, and I so appreciate the open meeting technologies on the side where you can see the votes as well as the agenda. I would just comment that I would like to see the agenda posted online previous to today's meeting. At some points, the agenda was moving a little bit faster on the screen than I could keep up with, and there wasn't one that I could refer to. When I checked the commission's website, the agenda isn't posted there yet. So if it was possible to see those agendas prior.
Is it me?
Amazing. Can you guys hear me? Did the sound go out again? I feel like I got muted. And I cannot hear at all. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Were you able to hear me before?
you were cut off in the middle. Continue.
Okay. I'm sorry. It looked like the mute just went off. But yes, I was just.
We can hear you on the Zoom, but we cannot hear the Wayne County commissioners responding. So you should have your full time back.
Oh, that's weird. I don't know what it's doing. The main crux of my comment though was that if we could have the agenda available online prior to the meeting, I appreciate the agenda being on the screen, but at some points it moves faster than I'm able to keep up with.
They can't hear me. They can't hear me. They can't hear me.
Can you guys hear me? I'm hearing other people. But yes, so the main part of my comment is having the agendas available prior to the meeting. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me on Zoom? Hopefully you can.
Yes.
Okay, we do not respond to public comments. This is the time for the public to give comments to us. We do not respond. Next speaker, please.
Jake Elrich.
Yes, hello. My name is Jake Ehrlich. I'm a Jewish community member. I live in Detroit, and I am a member of Representative Clark Coleman's district, District 5. I work for a synagogue. I'm a graduate of the University of Michigan Jewish Communal Leadership Program, and I'm a member of Jewish Voice for Peace. I'm involved in a number of Jewish organizations. I'm basically a professional Jew, and I'm here to tell you to advocate strongly that the commission walk on and pass this ceasefire resolution for multiple reasons, one of which is indeed it is the simple democratic will of the people, with Detroit, Dearborn, and Hamtramck signing on to advocate for ceasefire. I think it can be said that Wayne County indeed advocates for ceasefire. But also I'm here to express that the Jewish community is not monolithic when it comes to Israel. And we have a responsibility, you all have a responsibility as lawmakers in the US to not just respond to the right-wing interests of the likes of AIPAC and other organizations who will doubtlessly seek to inform your proceedings, but to respond to the will of your own people. Jews in Detroit have been demonstrating for weeks, mobilizing in support of a ceasefire, a peaceful solution, return of the hostages, and diplomacy. This should be the moderate demand. Peace and ceasefire is not a radical demand. And I'll say a little teaching from my tradition, which is that the ancient rabbinic source, Pirkei Avot, says, be like the disciples of Aaron, loving peace, pursuing peace. And so I encourage you all to be like the disciples of Aaron and reflect the interests of your constituents and say, ceasefire now. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Samira?
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm a resident of Wayne County. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I'm here to ask the Commission to pass a resolution for a ceasefire in Gaza. What has taken place in Gaza since October 7th is unlike anything the world has witnessed in real time. The ruthless bombardment of the Israeli regime and occupying regime has killed 20,000 people, men, women, and children, and has indiscriminately killed doctors, healthcare workers, schools where families are taking shelter, killed 60 journalists just so people do not see the crimes that IDF is committing against the people in Gaza, using American-made weapons paid for by our tax dollars. You must demand a ceasefire resolution now to stop the genocide in Gaza. Gaza is only a small strip of land the size of Detroit. It's densely populated by 2 million people. It has been under siege for the last 17 years. Its food, water, medicine, fuel is controlled by the Israeli regime. Israel has been controlling the Gaza has been controlled by the IDF forces who have killed Palestinians way before October the 7th. Unfortunately, the Western media is so biased towards Israel that the truth of what has been taking place in Gaza is never revealed. They create false narratives to justify the IDF's actions of unspeakable brutality by towards the people in Gaza. This suffering must end. Only you can take a stand and stop the massacres. Please pass the resolution. Do not be complicit in this genocide. Israel is committing war crimes using white phosphorus chemicals on civilians, killing babies, children, men, women, and the elderly. White phosphorus is banned by the international community. Why does the Israeli regime use it? Because they can. No one stops them, even though people in Gaza are unarmed. Israel uses the most advanced weapons, warplanes, and warships on 2 million people, a concentration camp without food, water, and medicine. That the Yoav Gallant has said that we will cut off food, water, and medicine for the people in Gaza.
It says the audio is out.
Salima?
Can our IT people help? The people can't hear.
Hello, my name is Salima Nawab. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I woke up feeling very sick. I have a fever. My kids are sick, so forgive me. But it was very important for me to get on the Zoom call. Thank you for facilitating public comments. I know you all know the situation in Gaza, so I'm not going to repeat all that, but it makes me feel even more sick and sad that I'm able to sleep in peace. I'm able to take some medicine to make myself feel better. I I saw a video of a woman who said she took 580 injections to have her baby, and she's holding her dead baby. And the woman is trying to keep herself together, but she is crying, and her relative or friend is calming her down. This is what the people of Gaza are going through. It broke my heart last night when I saw that. My kids are sick. They wake up in the night, and I can comfort them. I can calm them down. But the people of Gaza, we have no idea what they're suffering from right now through the occupying regime of Israel. And we're being fed propaganda. As officials, you have to be careful about what you accept and what you believe. You need to do your due diligence. I know you passing a ceasefire resolution is not going to stop the fighting per se. What it does is it says that you hear the people of Wayne County that are asking for a ceasefire. It builds a momentum that is more proof. Majority of Americans, 66%, as I last read, want a ceasefire resolution, yet 15% of Congress is asking for it. The constituents, the citizens of America are not being represented. We don't want our tax dollars to go and kill children. We want our tax dollars to help us in our own cities, pick up the garbage on time, provide for healthcare, provide for proper education for our kids, help our people get jobs. That's what we want. So please, I hope you do the right thing and hear the majority here asking for a ceasefire. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Sumaya.
Yes. Thank you for facilitating this. I just wanted to ask for a ceasefire resolution to be put back on the schedule. It's very difficult for us to get phone calls and images of our families overseas being bombarded, not knowing whether they're under the rubble or not, or if they're alive, being missing, displaced. It's a complete mess that's happening, and it's all because of our tax dollars. We are supporting this. And as people here, we do not want our tax dollars to go over there to kill innocent kids. We cannot handle seeing the images and the bodies of decapitated children. These are not the 40 beheaded babies. These are thousands of babies that we have seen on a daily basis, decapitated, burnt, even fetuses that didn't even have the chance to continue in the womb were burnt. These are the images that we are seeing every single day. We can't sleep at night knowing that we are paying for this. We are paying for the bombs. We're paying for the AI technology. We are invested in this, and we can't handle it anymore. We don't agree with killing innocent kids. Please, please, I urge you to return the resolution back onto the schedule. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Ruba.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm here today, not just as a voice, but as a vessel of the collective anger and urgency that courses through the veins of our residents. Unity and compassion, which was once the pride of this community, now face a test that transcends political rhetoric. This is a cry for justice, a roar against the unspeakable suffering that our tax dollars are sponsoring. Over 1.7 million Palestinians have been displaced from their homes with nowhere to go. 1.7 million, many of whom were already refugees to begin with, and having been forced out of their homes decades ago due to an illegal occupation. 20,000 innocent souls murdered in Gaza. 20,000 men, women, children, healthcare workers, aid providers, their existence reduced to rubble in a landscape of shattered schools and hospitals. Schools, hospitals, and homes destroyed by indiscriminate Israeli airstrikes via our funds. It's a grotesque testament to the misuse of our hard-earned money, and it's a genocide fueled by the very resources we contribute. The term ceasefire falls short in describing the horrors we face. We're not talking about a balanced exchange of force. We're dealing with an oppressive military raining destruction on the oppressed. Let's call it for what it is, an urgent demand to breathe life back into the Palestinians suffocating under the weight of injustice. Injustices they have endured for over 75 years at the hands of the oppressive apartheid Israeli regime. It's an outrage that we even find ourselves voting on a matter that should be a moral imperative, a no-brainer that demands unanimous condemnation. The scenes of children being blown to pieces, infants being reduced to ashes, and premature babies left to rot in hospitals should incite a fury that refuses to be tempered by political decorum. The vote is not a checkbox on an agenda. It's a rallying cry of our collective conscience. Let the walls of your chamber reverberate with the passion of a city unwilling to be silent accomplices. The world is watching, and our legacy hinges on the fire in our hearts as you make this decision. This city should be etched in history as a fortress of justice and compassion, not as a silent partner in atrocity. Thank you, and may your decision be fueled by the passionate urgency that this matter demands, and may this moment be a stepping stone towards granting all Palestinians their freedom from oppression.
Okay, next speaker. Thank you. Next speaker.
Mozanga.
Thank you. Thank you, Commission. My name is Dr. Mojgan Savabi Esfahani. I'm a resident of Ann Arbor. I want to say that I am completely speechless to know that you've actually removed a very simple and very, very minimal resolution to support ceasefire from your meeting agenda. I want to ask you to put it back on the agenda and very quickly approve this absolute minimum that we can do here for Palestinian people. We need an immediate and permanent ceasefire. We need a lifting of the siege of Gaza immediately and permanently. And we need to cut off military aid to Israel immediately and permanently. These are not things that are so controversial. Every person in this county that I have spoken to, and I've spoken to a lot of people, agree with all these three things. Now, institutions in the United States that resist these simple demands are telling the entire population of this country that they are undemocratic and they are morally bankrupt. If you have a problem saying stop bombing children with American bombs, you are morally bankrupt. We do not want to live in a morally bankrupt society, and we will push and remove politicians who are morally bankrupt from their offices that enforce moral bankrupt ideas onto our society. This is not a dead society. We are alive, we are pushing, and those of you who do not do the right thing will be voted out. We promise you that. Moral bankruptcy has no place in the American society. The public is mobilized. Vote to ceasefire immediately, lift the siege, and no military aid to Israel, or face the consequences. We will kick you out. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Anan.
Hey, good morning. My name is Hanan Al-Hadi, resident of Dearborn. I wanted to add my voice to the voices before me in terms of requesting the request to cease fire to be put back on the agenda. There's several angles you can look at this. One is without a doubt the humanitarian angle, but then when it gets to our hard-earned US dollars, we don't want them to go to funding the IDF and funding Israel. The US has been for the past decade sending hundreds of millions of dollars to support Israel, to support IDF, and we want our hard-earned dollars to actually stay in the United States. We would like to put the request to ceasefire back on the agenda to address the hypocrisy, to address the double standards, and seeing kids and innocent people, complete civilians, bombed every day using US dollars, using US AI technology, and all of the funds that the US sends to Israel. Thank you, and I really hope that the request to ceasefire to be put back on the agenda.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Alfrina.
Is it Afrina?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Afrina Akhtar. I'm living in Wayne County. Unfortunately, we are at this point talking about a critical and sensitive issue when it is supposed to be obvious that why we will support genocide. As a citizen of US living in Wayne County, Michigan, I request immediate ceasefire. Please put back and pass the resolution. We need to be strong and bring back our conscience. What United States will write in their history and what value we will pass on to our children. And that is my simple question. And as a citizen of this country, I demand immediate ceasefire. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Joshua?
Yes, hi, my name is Joshua Feinstein. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I am a proud Jew and a proud American citizen, also a descendant of survivors and people that perished in the Holocaust. I fully support this resolution, and I want to make clear and state that this proposed resolution for a ceasefire is not political, that it is a humanitarian issue. I will reserve the rest of my statement for when the item is put back on the agenda. And I naturally presume, based on the overwhelming outcry here, that it will be on the agenda on December 19th. I look forward to making a full statement then. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next person.
Anam?
Say it again.
Anams or Anam, A-N-A-M apostrophe S.
Yes, hi, my name is Anam. I am a constituent of Wayne County. I'm calling because I think it's preposterous that you guys removed the ceasefire resolution from the agenda. This is not something that is outside your jurisdiction. It affects your constituents, and our hard-earned money is being used to fund Israeli occupation forces. At this point, there is no credible or there's no accredited NGO or human rights organization that has not documented gross violations of human rights abuses, including the white phosphorus, including the sexual abuse of children. These reports date back to 2020 and even further. There are already cases open in the ICC against Israel for war crimes against humanity since 2014. So why our money continues to go to an apartheid state, and again, Amnesty International has documented that Israel is indeed an apartheid state, is beyond me. Why we think that it is not important for us to vote on this is beyond me. Why you think it doesn't affect your constituents is beyond me. So I urge you to put this back the resolution back on the agenda so that we can speak on it on December 19th. Additionally, this is not only important for your constituents to know that you do actually represent them, and to Moshgan's point, if you do not represent us, we will choose someone in the next election who does represent us. But it also puts pressure on our representatives to show that overwhelmingly their constituents are reaching out to local government and will indeed also reach out to their state government. And we put pressure from the ground up. And again, you need to represent your constituents in our requests for an immediate ceasefire. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Ruqaya Ali.
Hi, may I be heard?
Yes.
I am calling to ask the Wayne County Commissioner to put forward and pass the resolution for a ceasefire. Your vote is not just symbolic. It gives our constituents and your constituents the platform that they need to speak. And so we need for you to speak for us now. And this is what we are saying. We're horrified at the massive loss of life, innocent life. The average age of a Palestinian who have died right now is 5 years old. We grieve the unconscionable acts of an apartheid state on the indigenous population who have been suffering under 75 years of occupation, and we refuse to be silent on this any longer. We ask you to speak truth to power and stand on the right side of history. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Omer. O-M-E-R.
Yes, hello. Just 1 second here. Sorry. Just 1 second. Sorry, I'm just trying to
What was your comment, sir?
Okay, yes. I'm calling to urge Wayne County to put that resolution back on for immediate ceasefire, and also for adding that there has to be sufficient humanitarian aid for the people. I'm a physician, and the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on yesterday, on Wednesday, he invoked Article 99 of the UN Charter for the first time, citing a severe risk of collapse of the humanitarian system in Gaza in a letter to the current UN Security Council president. He said that, quote, public order, he expects, quote, public order to completely break down due to desperate conditions, rendering even limited humanitarian assistance impossible, end quote. He mentioned Guterres warned of an, quote, even worse, end quote, situation unfolding in the besieged territory, including epidemic diseases and an increase in pressure to send displaced civilians to surrounding countries. Meaning that there's evidence that ethnic cleansing is being pressured on the people, and he said that while delivery of supplies through Rafah continues, quantities are insufficient and have dropped since the pause came to an end. We are simply unable to reach those in need inside Gaza, end quote. So
Thank you, sir. We understand your comments. We get the gist of it. Thank you so much. Next speaker.
Rabab K.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, good morning, commissioners. My name is Rabab Katab. I would like to start by telling you about Beirut Abu Shamala. Beirut was 3 years old and had the most beautiful smile. She was born in Gaza on August 4th, 2020, the same day an explosion tore through the city of Beirut in neighboring Lebanon. Her parents decided to name her Beirut in honor of the city and its 200 residents that were killed by the blast. In a cruel irony, Beirut was murdered just this past October when an Israeli airstrike struck her home in Khan Yunis in the south of the Gaza Strip, in an area designated as quote-unquote safe by the Israeli military. Beirut didn't deserve to die. She and the more than 8,000 children that have been murdered thus far didn't deserve to die. More than 20,000 innocent civilians have been murdered with the support of American tax dollars. They all did not deserve to die. And all those that the Israeli military will continue to murder with American tax dollars while we stay silent don't deserve to die. How many more have to die before we all stand up and say enough? It shouldn't be controversial to say ceasefire. It shouldn't be controversial to say stop murdering innocent people. The majority of our elected officials at the federal level have made it clear that they choose to remain silent. But city officials, including those in Detroit, Dearborn, Ypsilanti, are choosing to stand with their communities and say ceasefire now. Commissioners, which path will you choose? Every human life is deserving of safety and security, no matter where they live, and that should not be controversial. Reinstate and pass a ceasefire resolution now and stand with your constituents. It's the least we can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person, please.
Miriam.
Hi, my name is Miriam. I'm a resident of Wayne County. I just wanted to come on here to say what everyone else before me has said. I'm disappointed and I'm very disgusted with our so-called leadership. How could you remove a simple resolution calling for a ceasefire? Do you understand that with each day that passes, more lives are lost and the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza is getting worse? It's simple. It's very simple. I demand an immediate ceasefire and an end of military aid to Israel.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Lori.
Yes, may I speak, please?
Yes, please.
Good morning. Thank you for your
Morning.
public service. I want to say that I am outraged. I am morally wounded by the fact that this body of public servants has removed a very important resolution that would at the least demonstrate how the constituency of Detroit feels, and that is ceasefire. This is not a political issue. This is not a religious issue. This is a moral, humanitarian issue where we have to step up. If we are not morally on the right side of human life, then who are we as individuals. I am begging you to reinsert the resolution and to overwhelmingly pass this resolution. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Awada.
Yes, hi, good morning. My name is Hueda Arraf, and I'm really sorry I can't be with you in person, but I'm just down the street on East Jefferson where I work as a civil rights attorney. I'm also specialized in international human rights and humanitarian law, so I'd be happy to answer any questions publicly or privately concerning international humanitarian law, the laws of war, and the ways they're being grossly violated, and the ways that the U.S. may be considered complicit in such violations. I am also very disappointed to hear that the resolution has been removed from the agenda, and add my voice to all those urging you to immediately restore it. As you've heard, Gaza is the size of Detroit, with 2.2 million people trapped and being mercilessly bombed. We hear that there are safe zones, but UNICEF spokesperson James Elder has repeatedly said there are no safe zones in Gaza. He called them zones of death, the spokesperson for the United Nations Fund for Children. Already in 2 months, Israel's assault on Gaza has killed over 17,000 people. Over 7,000 of them are children, and this estimate is low because there are so many people lost and trapped under rubble. And you can't even remove it, can't even remove the rubble of the situation that's going on. And children who've survived this 2 months of bombardment, they may be the only survivors in their families because entire families have been wiped out. On top of the bombing, it's been over 2 months since Israel has cut off food, water, electricity, fuel, medicine. Hospitals are overburdened. And I'm saying this, I heard someone else say that, everyone knows what's going on. But no, the mainstream media, the American media doesn't report what's going on. So I don't know that you're seeing what we're seeing, those of us who are concerned and are monitoring the news. But you should be seeing. I was just on a webinar with international human rights and humanitarian organizations, including Amnesty, Oxfam, Save the Children, Doctors Without Borders, and others. Speaker after speaker after speaker was talking about the atrocities in Gaza and the massive war crimes being committed. We have an obligation to raise our voices in opposition because our tax dollars are being used to commit these crimes. What's happening is absolutely inhumane, and I urge you to raise your voice against it.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Rainey.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Ronnie Bashidi. I'm a physician in the Detroit area, and I'm a Palestinian American. And just like many Palestinians, nearly every single Palestinian I know of has had a family member who has been affected by this. Just me personally, from my father's side, we've had 9 members die or be killed. 7 of them were children. From my mother's side, her cousin was murdered, including her whole family except for her son. So that included all her other sons, which were 2 sons, their wives, all their kids, and her husband, a total of 17 members. The UN chief rapporteur said that in his whole career, this has been the worst humanitarian crisis that he has ever seen. This goes back to the 60s and 70s. This is a very dire, extreme situation, and every minute that goes by is critical. We live in a world right now where calling for the ending of this death and destruction is controversial. Think about this. The fact that we have to go through this, take our time and plead and beg to end this violence is just beyond comprehension. I don't even know how to analyze this, how to intellectualize this, why we here in the US can justify this, or not even with our words say that this is wrong. We can understand why an occupying racist force like the Israeli government would find it controversial. But our country, which has gone through Jim Crow, slavery, going back to even the near extinction of the Native Americans, we have to also try to justify this. I guarantee you that if this was during the time of the abolitionists of past, we would have gone through this absurd pleading to give Blacks their freedom, try to understand why they even had to plead for such simple human rights.
Thank you, sir. Your time is up. Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
I'm going to start with the emails. This is from Natalie Coate. I submit my support for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. This is from Al J. Hello, my name is Al. I'm a resident of Detroit and a lifelong resident of Wayne County. Right now, we have the opportunity to be the first county of our size to call for the immediate and permanent ceasefire in Palestine. We have the opportunity to be on the right side of history. Right now, over 1 million people are being concentrated to a small area to be brutally murdered. We have to help them. We have to do everything in our power to end the occupation. We have to call this what it is, genocide. We have to honor the lives of Palestinian peoples. I implore you to support this and to pressure other governing officials and regions of Michigan to do the same. Please have humanity. The next is from Kelly Purdue. I am writing in support of the ceasefire resolution regarding the Palestine-Israel conflict. The next is from Farhad. Hello, Council. I am a healthcare worker living in the greater Detroit area for 20 years, and I am proud that Michigan leading the call for human rights and justice in Gaza by voting for a permanent ceasefire. Please provide the voiceless, oppressed people of Palestine and Gaza in their call for help. They are being killed by the thousands, and I urge you to vote for a complete ceasefire now. Melinda Holmes. Hi, my name is Melinda Holmes. I am a resident of Dearborn Heights. I am strongly in favor of the ceasefire resolution. However, this alone is not enough. We need to immediately end all aid to Israel and end the occupation of Palestine. Thank you. Nishta. Good morning. I am deeply concerned about the atrocities Israel has been doing on Palestinians. Please consider that people in Gaza are humans too, and they need to survive and deserve human rights, but instead their babies are being killed and our tax dollars are supporting this genocide. I deeply request for a permanent ceasefire and to serve with justice and to be on the right side of history. Please consider seriously. Thank you for your time. This is from Anthony Plessia. Please stand up against the Biden administration's efforts to cede U.S. sovereignty to the World Health Organization via amendments to the international health regulations and the Pandemic Preparedness Treaty. Please defund or restrict funding to any county departments that enforce World Health Organization edits. Please also stand against HR 3557 and HR 4141 in Congress, which seek to strip away state and local control in permitting cell tower placements, and defund or restrict funding to county departments that enforce these bills should they become law. Remember, in Federalist 33, Alexander Hamilton wrote that lower levels of government have the right to treat acts by the federal government that are not pursuant to the Constitution as acts of usurpation. I have one additional card for someone in the chambers. Rima.
Hello, this is the first time I speak in public. But what's make me speak, the horrific image that's coming from Palestine. I'm not gonna repeat what all they said. You know, the images, you know, the stuff that happened in Palestine. But I'm talking about the government of Israel, the Netanyahu and Ben Gvir, that then since they come in to the government and they create chaos and corrupt in the government. And all the leaders, instead of this, stop this guy from put the world in danger. He wants to put any war in the world. He not stop talking about war in Iran, war in everywhere. Instead of the leader of the world stop this guy and put him in jail, and he helped them with tons of weapons to drop them, and people, one day, the only people, they welcome Jewish in their country, and then they taken. And I want you guys, and thank you for all what you do for Michigan people. And I want you to say, yes, the word is easy word, is stop the war, make two-state solution right away after war, and stop the killing, and stop the war. Thank you.
Thank you for coming down. We appreciate it. Dana? Dana? O-U-D-A, first name Dana?
Hi, how is everybody? I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were on Zoom already. My name is Dana. I'm a Palestinian American who's lived in this county for my entire life. I live in Dearborn Heights, born and raised. I want to thank Commissioner Sam Beydoun and David Kanizik for trying to put forward a resolution in support of a ceasefire in Gaza. Some of you might be wondering why it's important to address an issue that seems foreign and international. And that's because our county is home to the largest concentration of Arab outside of the Middle East. We live here, we pay taxes here, we work here, we go to school here, we play here, and most importantly, we vote. And we want to make sure that our people back home are safe and that our tax dollars aren't going towards their destruction and their illegal slaughter. And I also want to shout out Alicia Bell. I know that you're running for county executive. This is a hot button issue right now, and this is something that voters care about. So if you want to run again for office or have a positive impact on your community, it's important to support your constituents. You could see even in the chat, people are begging you to support a ceasefire resolution. There's also a footage of Alicia and Joey yelling at Sam during the recess. We know that this happened. We won't forget it. And we look forward to addressing this when the election comes. Thank you.
Thank you. We have all of the public comments for today. Thank you all so much. Oh, there's one more? Okay, thank you. This is the last public comment that we have. Thank you. One more.
Zoha?
Hi, thank you so much for letting me speak. I just want to reiterate what all of the Wayne County constituents have begged you to do before me, asking you to please immediately reinstate the ceasefire resolution, pass it unequivocally, and join the calls from the neighboring jurisdictions to set a precedent that Wayne County will not stand for genocide. Every person in this room, physically and on Zoom, is here because of their own humanity and their radical love. Their love for their community, love for people they know and that they don't, their hope for liberation and the knowledge that they are standing on the right side of history. They're standing for humanity and they're standing for dignity. I urge you to reckon with your own humanity today. All we have asked you to do is to represent us. I'm a Wayne County resident as well. And I'm asking you to please show that you don't support senseless violence and you don't support using your constituents' hard-earned money to fund weapons that massacre human beings. If in your heart you really believe that passing a resolution to stop dropping bombs on children is a radical act, I don't know what I can say to compel you otherwise. So I hope you will sit with your own humanity and your obligation as a human being and an elected representative to prevent this senseless massacre of more Palestinians in Gaza, the West Bank, the United States, and around the world by showing your unequivocal support for a ceasefire in Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item on the agenda.
Reconsiderations.
There are none.
Remarks by members.
Any remarks by members? Vice Chair Pro Tem Beydoun.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the Wayne County Commissioner representing the city of Dearborn, I really appreciate all the passionate calls by Wayne County residents for a ceasefire. It's somewhat comforting to me to see that all who made public comments today want this genocide to stop. Colleagues, in the last 60 days, we have witnessed some of the most heinous and brutal attacks on the people of Gaza. We are witnessing a genocide in front of our own eyes, and the whole world is watching. To date, over 16,000 innocent civilians have been killed by the Israeli occupation forces. Nearly 11,000 of the 16,000 killed are women and children. Almost 2 million Palestinians have been displaced from their homes. There are 7,500 civilians who are missing and likely buried underneath all the destroyed homes and buildings in Gaza. These are not just numbers. These are families that have been torn apart. These are children who had dreams of becoming something one day, and it was instantly taken from them. These are people like 12-year-old Dania, who has lost her home, her parents, her siblings, and her leg because of this genocide. This conflict did not begin on October 7th. Palestinians have been living under illegal Israeli occupation for 75 years. Just to give you a historical perspective, in 1948, 750,000 Palestinians were exiled into neighboring countries like Lebanon, Syria, and Jordan. 400 Palestinian villages were ethnically cleansed. 15,000 Palestinians were killed, and there was no Hamas in 1948. We cannot continue to stay silent in the face of injustice. The Israeli government has now bombed schools, churches, mosques, playgrounds, and hospitals that were housing innocent families who were displaced. As the legislative body of the largest county of the state of Michigan, we can't stay silent. Wayne County is home to the largest concentration of Arab Americans in the US. Over 150,000 of our constituents in Wayne County are hurting and are directly impacted by the illegal and immoral actions taken by the state of Israel. I think about the pharmacist in my district who has now lost over 80 family members in this genocide. Just imagine you losing 80 members of your family in one day. I think about the grandmother in my district who has lost all communications with her daughter and granddaughter in Gaza and doesn't even know if they are alive or not. Friends, this is not a religious war between Islam and Judaism. Many of our Jewish brothers and sisters here in Michigan are calling for a ceasefire, like members of the organization Jewish Voices for Peace. They are saying, not in our names, never again. This is more than just politics. It's about our shared humanity. The Wayne County Commission has a chance to make a stand for peace, to show that Wayne County cares about people, about compassion, and about doing the right thing. I call on everyone in Wayne County to demand a ceasefire and to put an end to this madness. Our US tax dollars are financing this genocide. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Killeen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm very disappointed. We've had a resolution kicking around for a couple of weeks now, and there's been some changes to it, some modifications. I'm very disappointed it did not make our agenda today. I dare say that being on our agenda 2 weeks from now, the only thing that's going to change is more people are going to die, more people are going to have the infrastructure, everything is just all going to be worse 2 weeks from now before we take this up. But I'm very disappointed it's not here today. I would encourage people to pay attention to the Secretary General Guterres of the United Nations. I think he has been speaking with clarity on this issue, and in my opinion, been absolutely correct. There are both short-term and long-term things to be concerned with here, and Secretary General Guterres has addressed them both. We have to have electricity, food, water provided for the citizens of Gaza and not have it cut off at the borders. That's inhumane. Allow the free movement of aid aid is still not getting in. And of course, in the last day or so, it's become a bigger problem. Now that all the negotiations over hostages and stuff we've decided is not, we're not going to continue that. I think we should also keep in mind, this is not easy stuff in the long term. The removal of settlements, which the Secretary General has pointed to in his remarks, the illegal settlements in the West Bank, illegal under numerous United Nations resolutions. And if you're a member of the United Nations, you are bound to the decisions of the body on resolutions. But of course, that hasn't changed any. And also, of course, a political voice for the folks in Palestine. The nationhood, I guess, is what I'm speaking of. Right now, they have no political voice and nowhere to channel that. Now, I have commented before at this body that having my ancestors from Ireland, I see so many parallels here. I was never a fan of the IRA. And also, the IRA never had majority support among the Irish. However, much like Hamas does not have majority support. However, we had a military powerful nation right next door to us, right across the Irish Sea, who for 500 years said, you know what, we're going to drive you from your land. We're going to allow you to starve. We're going to keep you in poverty. And if nobody knows about worker houses in Ireland, people should check that out. That's where they let people go to starve for the rest of their life just because they were poor. So we have both a long-term and a short-term issue here. There is no peace without a political voice for Palestine. And so a support the resolution as written, that we have to have an immediate ceasefire and take the pressure off there. But the harder work, and the Secretary General has been calling for this too, of a true nationhood and a political voice for Palestinians is the only solution in the long term without taking that. And of course, that's what happened in Ireland too. It was a political settlement that without that longer term, we're looking at many, many, many more years of what we're seeing today. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I'll remind commissioners, we have 3 minutes under remarks by members. Commissioner Dodd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to thank Commissioner Beydoun for all of his work on the resolution calling for a ceasefire, and that I am looking forward to voting to support it. I was ready to support it today and ready to support it. Well, I was ready to support it last meeting. Looking forward to voting yes on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kinlock.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What occurred on October 7th and the atrocities that continue, that stem from the actions that came by the from the attacks initiated by Hamas, is something that has divided this community. But no one here on this commission is supportive of the death that is occurring in both Gaza and in Israel. We have constituencies who have been impacted by the atrocities of October 7th. And there is nothing that we would want more, but that peace would occur from what has been initiated on October 7th. But we cannot ignore the fact that we represent constituents, both who are being devastated by their family members being killed from what occurred and what started on October 7th, both in Gaza, but also in Israel. Today, we are holding this meeting on the first day of Hanukkah. The bottom line is that we're trying to make sure that we are inserting our voice in a way that is not adding further division on this issue. I am appreciative of the conversations that Commissioner Baidoon has been having with the commissioners as it relates to trying to take into account the understanding and the thoughts as much as possible of the entire community. We scream, we yell for peace, but we have to understand that we're getting calls from all over the place and everyone wants peace. None of us in this room initiated what occurred when Hamas basically initiated this slaughter bath. And so I'm looking forward to at our next commission meeting, us voting on this resolution and calling for peace. And we call for not only a ceasefire, but we want the adults in the leadership, both among the Israeli as well as the Palestinians, to come to the table and come to a permanent solution, a two-state solution, where individuals will be able to exercise their rights and freedoms. A permanent solution is what I've been supportive of, and I look forward to voting in support of the resolution at our next commission meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kniezek.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to start by thanking those who attended today's meeting on Zoom and those who attended in person to share their voices and their perspectives on this topic. To do it in the middle of a day, in the middle of a work day, and to do it in person. We heard from one individual who is their first time ever public speaking. It takes a lot of guts to do this and to participate and come before this commission. So I want to thank everybody who raised their voices today in support of a ceasefire in Gaza. I respect so deeply so many of my colleagues on this commission. I'd be so hard pressed to express how much I respect Commissioner Baidoon and the passion that he has brought to this discussion and this dialogue. And while there were some nice words offered today that mentioned him and mentioned I want to also make sure that we uplift that there's other commissioners on this commission that are supportive of this resolution and have put their name on it. And it's not the David and Sam show, but boy, has Sam been the backbone and the moral compass of us all. And knowing Sam's story, knowing how he's been impacted by this personally, and knowing that he gets up every day and fights for his constituents and for people that are impacted by this, it's why I'm frustrated about how this process is playing out. I know it's not over though, and I'm encouraged and I'm grateful. I am thankful for that, Madam Chair. But I'm frustrated about how it plays out. People are telling me, David, we're tired of talking about this. It's been 2 months. I'm tired of talking about it. If you're tired of talking about it, imagine how tired the people of Gaza are living through it. Imagine what it's like for them waking up and dealing with this on a daily basis. People are telling me they're tired of talking about it. People are telling me, David, you need to stop talking about this. You're going to lose re-election. If I lose re-election over this, good. I don't belong here if I can't do the moral and the right thing on behalf of the people of Gaza and Palestine and on behalf of my district. This is not a religious debate. This is not a religious discussion. This did not begin, with all due respect to my colleagues, this did not begin on October 7th. There are Christians being murdered in Gaza. There are Muslims being murdered in Gaza. There are Jews being murdered in Gaza. This has nothing to do with anyone's religion. This has to do with bringing about an end to the violence. That starts with a ceasefire. The bare minimum, I've said it before, the bare minimum that we can do is to call for a ceasefire. And we've heard it time and again. This is the Wayne County Commission. What is your little voice going to do? What are you going to say that's going to have an impact on the world? I'm reminded of the words of Margaret Mead, who said, "Never doubt that a group of thoughtful and committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." We are a small and thoughtful, committed group of citizens here on this Wayne County Commission. I believe in our ability to speak and to advocate and to do what is right here. And so again, I know that this discussion and this debate is not over. I genuinely say thank you. Is this moving on the timeline that I want it to? Of course not. But the debate and the dialogue is continuing, and I am grateful for that. I am very grateful for that. And I know and I hope that if we continue that dialogue, that we will get to a place where one day this commission will say what we need to say, what we should have said, what I know deep in our hearts we will say here soon, and that is ceasefire now. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Haydus?
Thank you, Madam the Chair. I'm so disappointed when we trying to do the right thing and we find ourselves in difficult time to keep resolution that been done by the majority of local government and state government in our nation that support ceasefire to save lives, innocent people, children. It's not ceasefire, it's not taken side. It's give cooling time for both sides to sit back a little bit and rethink a solution that starts save life. Myself, I support the resolution, and I thank Commissioner Baidoun for his hard work for it, and David Kaniset for his support, and Tenlak and Colleen, all the commissioners who support this. The issue here, I really can't understand. When we doing something that benefits both sides, and save innocent life, it became issue in Wayne County Commission, and we have to pull it out of the agenda to put it to the 19, and I can't predict what's gonna happen in the 19 too. I losing faith in how we act and how we see the issue of ceasefire. On the 19, I can't attend the meeting because I have member of my family going under serious surgery out of state. And I have to be with her. But you please cast my vote as a yes for ceasefire. Anytime there issue for peace or solution to eliminate hate, save lives, you could cast my vote as a yes. I hope this body would come to agreement to present resolution for ceasefire. And as is mentioned to you, Madam the Chair, I would like in the future, if we could present resolution for permanent peace and solution for the region, because if we don't bring that issue to the attention of the leader of the world, and instead of when the conflict happen, start sending arms from both sides to fuel a war, maybe we should step in and said, let's sit on the table and negotiate and talk for peace. Some people told me it's impossible. I said, no, it's possible. The history show us it's possible. President Carter start the effort, and he make Egypt and Jordan and Israel recognize each other. And he was really gonna continue, but he didn't get re-elected to continue his effort. It's mean we have a precedent set that it's possible. Let's this body be a supporter for peace. Doesn't matter whatever it's ceasefire resolution or permanent peace resolution. Let's support those things to support life. Thank you, Madam the Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. And just for clarification for the people who have been listening for the last couple of hours, the resolution was, as you know, is not on the agenda. What I'm going to do is place it on the government operations agenda for next week so that it can be thoroughly discussed and then come as a committee report as we do other resolutions on the 19th. I think that will be the best way to handle it. So, but I just want clarification that it was not on the agenda for today, but it'll go to government operations on next week, where I'm sure it'll pass and then be on our agenda for the 19th. For the last month or so, myself from this, I won't say pulpit, from this podium have talked about making sure that we do something and how the humanitarian crisis is something that we know is an issue and that we need to address. We've said it for the last 3 or 4 meetings. I will continue to say that the atrocities that are happening in the Middle East are absolutely horrible. And to the people listening, there is no one on this body who thinks it's okay. We all condemn what is happening over there. Understanding that we do have a large Middle Eastern population in our county. We want to make sure we appreciate those who spoke today, but we understand that it is horrible and no one is taking it lightly or thinking that it's okay. I appreciate the people who came down today. I know it's hard to get downtown and you came downtown. I appreciate you being here in person, those persons that spoke on the phone. So we are going to make sure that that is on our agenda for next week, government operations, and then come to us for full body vote on the 19th. Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say for this last version that I received of this resolution in support of peace in the Middle East, I support it, fully support it. Also, there was a resolution that all commissioners signed. I just wanted to remind the commissioners when the Cuban ambassador visited us earlier this year, we signed a resolution that we would build bridges between countries, the country of Cuba, so that people in both countries may enjoy long-lasting and mutual beneficial relations. So I just wanted to bring that up because some commissioners were or had some questions about the resolution that I presented earlier. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Basham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is simply a resolution, but it's so important. Even though we don't have the authority, if I had the authority to make peace in Gaza, it would have been done yesterday. I don't have that authority. But this push other agencies to let folks know that not just City of Detroit, but Dearborn, but also Wayne County and others support peace is not a bad thing. And a resolution, if this resolution is that important to where we have to send a committee, the chair actually has the authority to, if it's that important, to just move it forward and we could vote on it today. You don't have to go to committee. And so I would be in support of the chair moving that to the full board today, and I would support it, and we could be done with it and move forward. So my thought is let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. That's not a motion. This is going to government operations and we'll move on it at that time. Any other comments by commissioners? Hearing none.
If Commissioner Basham wanted to make a motion.
I would rather him not. Not today, please. Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.